Members, the bail system's broke. Let me give you the tale of two people. You have somebody who's a drug addict, and they've been picked up for the third or fourth time, and they're sitting there in jail, and they can't make bail. It's not that they can't make bail. It's because their parents chose not to bail them out because they know that they're raging out of control and they need that time in jail to sober up so they can potentially get help. But contrast that with the second story. The individual who has been accused of a crime and he's put in jail and he's the sole or she's the sole provider for their children. And by being stuck in jail, they're not able to go to work, and they perhaps lose their job. So now they're homeless, and now their family doesn't have enough money for food, and they have to go on assistance. These are two possibilities that happen every day in our jail system. And when you look at it, it's very complex. One size doesn't necessarily fit all for everyone. And this bill, the author came to me back in November and asked me if I'd be willing to work with them on this. And it's not perfect, it's not right, but the one thing that we know for a fact is the bail system's broken. So let's think about what we want that bail system to look like, that accommodates the parent that chooses not to bail out the drug-addicted child, that a system that also takes in consideration a hard-working Californian that's living paycheck to paycheck, like many of the people I represent in my district. This has to be about justice and fairness. It's not about eliminating bail, because bail serves an important purpose. Like many of my colleagues before me who spoke, bailsmen are the people that will go out of state to return these people to make sure that they show up in court. So it's very important, the job and the work that they do. But the system's broke. And I can give you many examples of how the system's broke. If you're being set bail in San Francisco versus San Diego, your bail for the exact same thing could be entirely different. The practice, we need to go back and look at also the practice of charge stacking. The idea that two people get pulled over for the same thing and one person gets charge stacked and finds out his bail is $5 or $10 or $50 or $25 or $50,000 versus the person next to him who didn't have the charges stacked, who's only looking at $5,000, is a world of difference. Look, at the end of the day, this is about justice and it's about fairness. And when we're looking at the processes of the things that need to be done, that schedule, the bail schedule, should be set statewide, and it should include many factors, including income. And the people that are in the room making those decisions shouldn't just be the judges, but it should be all the criminal justice stakeholders. The defense attorney, the prosecuting attorney, all these people should be at the table, because at the end of the day, we're talking about fellow Californians. And you know, I've split with my caucus and kind of gone on my own on certain times, because at the end of the day, I believe that justice is important. And I think that it's too easy to take the easy road out and just say, no, we don't want to look at any kind of reforms whatsoever. The system's broke, we acknowledge it's broke, but that's just too bad, we're going to move along. And I think about those two cases, the drug addict and the person working from paycheck to paycheck, and I want a system that's fair to them. I want a justice system that delivers on justice for all Californians. And you know, all because you're serving in the prison waiting a trial doesn't mean that you're a guilty person. There's a potential that you're innocent. And to lose your job, to lose your housing, to lose your family, that's not fair. And we need to be fair in the process. But at the same token, you need to show up for your court date. You need to defend yourself, and if you are guilty, you need to go to jail. But let's find a system that works well for all of us. And this is very, very complex. We're not going to solve it in a short period of time. It's going to take a lot of work. And many members, I will tell you that when you work on difficult bills, and all of you have, you know in your heart that when you work on difficult bills, you have a cafeteria of folks that have different views, and you have to measure all those views, and you have to weigh them. But you also have to educate all those stakeholders along the way. And sometimes you have to give up a little to get a lot. And what I'm asking of the author is to continue to work with me on this. And look, I've had a lot of folks call me and say, well, we really don't like this bill. And I don't really like this bill in its current state. But I know there are amendments coming that are going to move it much closer to what I really do like, talking about that fairness and balance between the drug addict and the hardworking folk, and making sure that they get the justice that every Californian, every U.S. citizen deserves. And so when I look at this, I told them, I said, I could easily vote no and pull off the bill, but then I won't be at the table. I think we all need to be at the table at this bill because our constituents are worth the extra work to ensure that they receive justice. So I urge an aye vote today. This bill, at some later date, may not be everything I want it to be, and I may end up pulling off of the bill. But today, I want to work for the hardworking folks in my district. I want to ensure that I'm doing everything in my power to give them the justice that every Californian deserves. And I'm not interested in killing the bail system because I think that they play a very important role. I just want to balance the system so that there's fairness and equity for everyone. I urge an aye vote.